my own personal life, because you might as well, you can get your sound effect right. You did a show last week, and I'm watching, like, you know, with the worshiping the Chads and the Tyrones, all that.
Right.
You know, and so I always struggle with that because I always had like self-image issues and stuff. You know, so
wait. So you be looking at dudes and be wishing you was them?
Nick, bruh, yeah.
Really?
It's bad. It was bad. Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy. Why?
Bruh.
Why are you doing that? What happened?
You know, just regular societal conditioning and whatnot, and just because, like, I never thought, you know, like the average guy, you know, I never felt like I was tall enough, handsome enough, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. You know?
Right.
Right.
But the thing is this. See, what you got to understand is that you got to see this is the thing that lets you understand if you really know, when you really understand the game, or you have tight game, right? So what happens is this: society is always going to try, and you might not even realize this, you know, just in general, but understand that society is always going to try to throw you off, right? So what happens is that within any situation and circumstance, right, either the situation or the circumstance is going to overtake you, or you are going to let the situation or circumstance submit to you. You understand? So either you're going to submit to the circumstance or situation, or the situation or the circumstance is going to submit to you. So what does that mean? That means that in any of these situations, so for example, you're saying, well, I was having issues with my body and all this other stuff. The reason why you was having issues with your body is because you submitted to the circumstance and situation of what society told you need to look like. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you're going along with their rules and what they like and what they told you is the shit. Right now, what happens is that when you let society and the circumstance and the situation and your surroundings and your environment submit to you, what you do is you say, fuck all of that. This is the direction I'm going in. This is what I'm thinking. This is how I'm making shit happen. And then you make everything around you submit to that. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the fight. That's the fucking thing. It's either you're gonna bow down to society or society's gonna bow down to you. And when I say society's gonna bow down to you, that means that you take a stance on you being you, period. You're not changing. You're not second guessing yourself. You're not trying to be like these other fools. You're not trying to fit into their, you see what I'm saying? And so anybody that wants to fuck with you has to fuck with you on your terms. You see what I'm saying? The problem is that so many people submit to society. They submit to their circumstance. They submit to the situation. Just like you was just asking, he was like, how do you stay positive and all this other stuff? You stay positive by not submitting to the circumstance. You see what I'm saying? Because if you submit to the circumstance, then what's going to happen is you're going to be like, damn, this circumstance I don't like. So therefore, the society told me when I get into a circumstance or a situation I don't like, I have to feel bad, right? So now you're going with what society told you to do. You don't like the circumstance, you should feel bad now. But the reason why you feel bad now is because society told you that. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that if you don't subscribe to that bullshit, then you just say, hey, listen, even though this circumstance is like this, I choose to not respond or react this way. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. It's like, right. And that goes hand in hand with what you were saying about, like, you know, what you and Miles say about the truth being inside you. Like, you are already enough, right?
Right.
Because I think a lot of us, we get, especially me, like, you get in that mindset of, okay, I got to compensate for this. So if I'm too short, well, I got to get money. If I'm too this, I got to get muscles, blah, 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 blah. And that's unnecessary. Right.
Because this is the thing. You got to ask yourself, who taught you to hate yourself? You see what I'm saying? No, seriously, that's the thing. So
it's true.
Right. So So what happens is that you have to be able to stand grounded in your own view of you versus trying to fit in to the view that society told you to fit into. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
That's all it is. You see what I'm saying? So in any dynamic, remember, somebody's going to submit to someone else. Somebody's going to follow this or that. You understand what I'm saying? So even when you're dealing with a woman, either she's going to submit to you or you're going to submit to her. That's how it always goes. Even if you're talking to, let's say you probably at work or at school or whatever, there's always that dynamic playing. It's like, are you going with this or is this going with you? Now, there are situations, just like you living in regular society, where you have to follow the rules and shit so that you can peacefully get through your life in a certain way, right? So you choose to say, you know what, I'm not going to break the law. So I break the law, I'm going to go to jail, and maybe I don't want to go to jail, so let me not break the law. So you're submitting to the rules so that you don't go to jail. Do you see what I'm saying? But when it comes to your masculine identity, right, and how you view yourself, you do not have to listen to these idiots telling you that you need to have this, or you need to look this way, and you got to be this tall, or you have to have this amount of money. You guys have to stop listening to these people. All those people that's telling you all that shit, they're zombies. They don't have critical thinking skills. They are also victims of society. They fucking go along to get along too. They're still trapped. They're still asleep. You understand what I'm saying?
You're right. But I think also still, and I think you were getting at this, like the point, like not even that they just tell you, sometimes it's just feedback, right? Like, and I know this is probably your energy feeding off of that, and that's making it come, you put negative energy out. But like, if you were treated some type of way because you didn't have this, but you see somebody else does, these assumptions naturally pop in your head. But you saying, you need to fight that shit anyway, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is that the problem is this, is that you say, man, I see this other person who is getting what I want, or I think I want, and they have these things going on. So damn, I feel like I don't have those things going on, so I feel some type of way. That's what you're saying, right? Right. And so again, that you still have to question, why do you want what they want? And what is it that they have that you want? You see what I'm saying? So when you get deeper into it, a lot of times it's deeper than just the surface of what you're talking about. So for example, you might say, damn, this guy, I see this guy with a baddie and he's taller than me. So I think if I was as tall as him, then I'd get baddies too. And I'm not, you see what I'm saying? So it goes down to that spiral, right? Now, the thing is that you can also get baddies, but you don't need to look like him or be him. But the reason why you think you need to look like him or be him is because somewhere in your mind, you feel like there's something inadequate with you. So it's not about the guy. It's about the inadequacies that you feel within your own self that makes you project that, thought onto that situation and say, man, well, he has something that I don't. So you're constantly putting yourself down or making yourself feel small, right? Because you need some reason to make it make sense, right? And you yearn that thing, but you don't have the confidence to get that thing without saying, damn, well, I probably can't get it, or it's going to be hard for me to get because I don't match up with that particular thing. So what I'm saying is this, is that if you start going down that path, that's you submitting to the circumstance, situation, or society, right? So what I'm saying is that when you ignore that bullshit, because it's all bullshit, when you ignore that bullshit and focus on yourself and then stay grounded in yourself, then all the things that you want are going to happen because there is an abundance of what you want. So for example, if you're like, damn, that guy has a baddie, there's an abundance of baddies that you can get based on you being you. But this is the key. You're never going to get to those women or attract those women until you are being you. But you can't be you if you're constantly focused on other things that you think you need to have in order to be that valuable person. You see what I'm saying? Because when you're talking to the woman or dealing with her, she's not experiencing who you really are, because you're constantly out of your mind. You're just all over the place, worried about all this other shit. So you're not grounded in who you are. That's what makes you the most attractive. You see what I'm saying? When you're the most attractive man or woman is the one who's grounded within themselves and love themselves exactly who they are. You understand exactly how they are. The problem is that every time you're focusing on other things or thinking you're lacking something, that's the thing that's going to cause you to be less attractive, which is going to repel the things that you actually want, and it's going to keep you in that cycle. You see what I'm saying? And again, this is all coming from you choosing what to believe. You understand what I'm saying? But this is the key. You want to get to the point where you go even further than just believing. It's you got to get to the point where you know. You understand? So that's a whole other level. knowing is stronger than believing. Believing is just the point where you're starting to sort of get yourself in the zone, but knowing is when nobody can tell you anything. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't even believe. You understand? So they're way, way back. So what happens is first you got to believe and then you start to know. What does that mean? First you got to believe you're valuable, then you'll start to know you're valuable. But see, the thing is that you're not going to really know you're valuable until you experience that. That's the thing. You have to experience it. But the only way you can experience it is that you first have to believe it until the actual situation matches up with your belief. And that's where the knowing happens. But you're not going to get there if you believe that what you need is outside of you. You see what I'm saying? And guess what's outside of you? Society is outside of you. But check this out. You still connected to society because it's all one fucking thing. So the thing is this, like I said, what's happening is that you are allowing society to tell you who you are instead of you teaching society who you are. That's what you got to understand. You have to teach people, right, who you are, because they don't know. The problem is that you think they know, which is why you're listening to society. You see what I'm saying? You're like, man, society knows what's best for me. So maybe I gotta, get more money. Maybe I gotta have a six pack because society is saying that it is. Everybody else is talking about that this is what it is. And that's because everybody else is submitting to society. You start to buy into the bullshit and you become a zombie in a drone just like everybody else. You become asleep just like everybody else. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem. You see what I mean? So what I'm telling you is that make society, your circumstances and the situations submit to you, submit to your masculine identity, submit to how you are. So for example, like I'll give a perfect example, right? Ain't nobody on earth could tell me that I'm not fly. Ain't nobody on earth could tell me that my girl ain't fly. Nobody. You understand what I'm saying? That shit don't even make sense to me. You might as well tell me 2 + 2 is 17. I'm like, nigga, you wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So now what happens is that just like, for example, musicians do this and, people who market stuff, a song will play over and over and over and over again until society says it's the shit. You understand? All they did was let society submit to the song. You understand what I'm saying? You might have heard the song and was like, this shit kind of whack. And then you heard it 100 times. Now you're like, yo, this shit kind of hot. Why do you think that happens? That happens because you submitted to what the producers.
And you were saying in the last show, you said, sorry to cut you off, that you could do the same crap to yourself, right?
Right.
You could keep telling yourself how awesome you are and whatnot. Right. You could do the same thing.
Exactly. But the thing is that when you're telling yourself that's you starting to condition yourself to believe it. Then what happens is that you don't even need to tell yourself that anymore because you know it. You see what I'm saying? This is the thing. Everything that you are searching for is already inside you. It's all there. You just have to recognize it, recognize it. Cognize means know, to re-know. So what happens is that you've just forgotten who you are. You have to recognize who you are. You have to re-know who you are. Once you re-know who you are, then you're not going to give a fuck about what anybody else is saying and doing. You're not going to be influenced by what me and April was just talking about this earlier. We were talking about how they have this thing called Instagram face, right? Now, what does that mean? That means that you have a lot of these women out here who are they're getting plastic surgery and doing all this other shit to their face and all this other stuff, right? And I was saying that you ever notice how a lot of women, you could see this on Instagram, on TikTok, on social media. A lot of women are starting to look the same. Like they got the same, BBL, same lips. They all looking like Kim Kardashian, right? So what they're doing is they're all looking like kind of like NPCs. You understand what I'm saying? It just looks like the same bitch over and over again. Now, the reason why that happens is because how you look, your unique look is supposed to be that way because you are unique within this society, within the, you're an individual. So now when a person's getting plastic surgery, they're getting plastic surgery and they end up looking the same. Why? Because how they look was supposed to be how they look, because that is exactly who they are. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what happens, where you got all these people are just like how all those women look the same. You have so many people who think the same. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of people got plastic surgery on their mentality. You see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? And so now you're looking at those people thinking they're right. You're like, oh man, all of them are thinking this way. Maybe I should think this way too, because I don't want to be left out of society. I don't want to be ostracized. Fuck that. Understand, most people are sheep. Don't be a sheep. You understand what I'm saying? Don't do it. So this is what I'm saying. You have to be consistent with understanding who you are, loving yourself, and being you at all times, even though society is going to keep trying to bring you down. Society is going to keep trying to, it's going to be like, come on, man, join us. Be just like everybody else. Come on, man, just follow the crowd. Stay insecure. Stay small, bro. They just, follow us. Be a part of this nonsense. You understand what I'm saying? That's you got to understand, man. It's crazy.